LA was having its own sort of excitement.
This was a story that we knew was happening because you couldn't live in Los Angeles and not know it was happening.
No, it was
one of those ones where we sort of had to, we had to pull together both of our resources to be able to process this story. Because
this
we were
is
not
a story that
basically.
we invited our friend Jill on to talk about, and then she refused to come on.
Jill is our friend who we reference on the podcast a lot as knowing a lot of news stories that you can find on local news or Good Morning America or Yahoo.com.
She's got a lot of detailed information about
and so
tragic
we
events
wanted
that
her
were
to come on and talk to us about this, but she was afraid that we would just have her on to, make fun of her.
For knowing these types of stories.
We would have done briefly, but then we would have let her talk because we wanted to just not have to investigate the story ourselves.
Exactly, and she's someone who knows all of the details.
Now that she's not here, we're going to make fun of her even more because...
Yesterday, I asked her whether she had been following this story, and she said, no, I haven't really been following it, and then proceeded to tell me in detail exactly what was happening up to the moment, then researched it further while we were sitting there on her phone to make sure she was right.
No, she got mad at me earlier in the week because she, sent me a chat while I was at work and said something like, can you believe this, LAPD killer, the war on Los Angeles or something like that, and I was like, the war on Los Angeles?
What are we talking about?
What is going on? I don't even know what you're saying to me
I had not really been familiar with the story until Gawker started writing, an extensive amount on it.
Sure.
The Gawker coverage has been hilarious because this story is bonkers.
Yeah, it's bonkers. And it's not... there are funny parts of it. It's not ultimately funny. No, so don't get us wrong here, people.
Right.
People are dying. But,
it's just, the craziest movie plot. And that's, I think, why it's sort of gripped Los Angeles this way, is because it is a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Hollywood. It's very meta, Hollywood happening in Hollywood. But
it is.
Basically, this guy, Jordan Dorner, he's an ex-LAPD, ex-military guy. Yeah. He had this disciplinary hearing.
Yeah. He got fired.
He got fired in 2009 because he had apparently falsely accused another officer of kicking a suspect. So on Sunday, suddenly, this basketball coach for Cal State Fullerton, or is an assistant basketball coach at Cal State Fullerton, and her fiance were both killed, supposedly by him. And it turns out that Monica Kwan, who was this basketball coach, her father had represented him in his disciplinary hearing.
Yes.
And so suddenly, all sorts of cops went batshit crazy.
Yes.
Suddenly, anyone who's a bald black man is in danger of being shot at any
moment.
Or
a Mexican woman
who
are out delivering newspapers.
Because they have been shooting without asking questions.
Oh, they're just shooting
everywhere.
Everywhere.
And there have been, because of that, a bunch of people who have been shot at who could not have been more innocent and were just going about their lives.
So, the LAPD is currently having to buy somebody, or has offered to buy somebody a new truck. Because they shot at somebody's
buy her
truck.
a new back. They shot her in the back twice. She was with her 70-something-year-old mother. They were delivering newspapers.
It's not funny.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. No, it's one of those situations where you realize, how young the LAPD probably is.
Probably.
It's one of those situations where you have these guys and you think they're probably very well trained and very heavily, they're heavily prepared for this sort of situation. And it's one threat that's been this sort of vague and scary has turned them into a pack of crazy teenagers.
Well, and the LAPD sort of just, as a whole, has a reputation as being an aggressive police force.
Exactly.
So it's not surprising that it has led them to this, because they have sort of, they're always jumping at the chance to do something unnecessary.
That's
whether
true.
it be shoot at somebody or...
I feel like this has made them look more disorganized than anything else. Usually they look aggressive. They're not known to be the most sort of peaceful police force out there.
They're not.
You may wonder why we have a history of riots in this city.
Right.
That's part of the problem.
That's part of the problem.
But they've just been wandering aimlessly around the city, panicking, basically. Mm-hmm. They look like they're panicking.
Yeah.
They're panicking because this guy wrote the craziest
manifesto on Facebook, of course.
Page.
Because why not?
It begins with, "The violence of action will be high. I am the reason TAC alert was established. Whatever pre-planned responses you have established for a scenario like me, shelve it. Whatever contingency plan you have, shelve it. Whatever tertiary plan you've created, shelve it. I am a walking exigent circumstance with no off or reset button."
Whoa.
Then, after the big threats, he goes on to, as Gawker puts it, write yearbook-like farewells to various celebrities, politicians, and journalists.
So weird.
The list of people that that are included is bonkers.
Anthony Bourdain.
You're a modern Renaissance man who epitomizes the saying, too cool for school. Like,
the hackers.
Yeah, Anonymous.
Group. He left them a message.
Larry David. 70 to 82 degrees is way too hot in a residence. 68 degrees is perfect.
Yep.
Charlie Sheen, you're effing awesome.
Yep.
Then apparently...
Talked about some of the musical artists that he was really in favor of.
Which is
Hans
a very
Zimmer,
eclectic list that includes...
B.B. King.
Metallica, Norah Jones, Marvin Gaye, Jay-Z, William Bell, Eric Clapton. Like, a whole bunch of... And then...
Oh, he's super obsessed with Chris Christie.
They're the political... Yeah. So he leaves a message to Chris Christie, which spawned like a movement. He says, Governor Chris Christie, what can I say? You're the only person I'd like to see in the White House in 2016 other than Hillary. You're America's no-shit-taking uncle. Do one thing for your wife, kids, and supporters. Start walking at night and eat a little less. Not a lot less, just a little. We want to see you around for a long time. Your leadership is greatly needed.
Yeah.
This spawned a bunch of roundtable discussions on television
eating.
about whether Chris Christie's too fat to be president. Which is something we've been saying for years. We could have been invited onto any one of these panels, and we would have a long track record of clips they could pull from.
Well, the thing about discussing Chris Christie's weight is that anybody could be on one of those panels.
Fair enough.
Doesn't take a weight expert. It takes someone with eyes.
Right. But he also leaves, like, there were a bunch of other crazy ones. He left, like, this weird message about lesbians on the LAPD who he thinks are targeting male officers and are of high value in his target list as a result. But then he also leaves a message to Ellen DeGeneres telling her to continue her excellent contribution to entertaining America and bringing the human factor to entertainment. You change the perception of your gay community and how we as Americans view the LGBT community.
Yes.
So he feels good about Ellen DeGeneres'
just not militant lesbians
just
on
not
the police force.
just not police lesbians. Right. Comedian lesbians are okay.
Fine.
He loved Django Unchained.
Shocker.
Does not like George Zimmerman.
No.
Nobody does.
Likes George Bush.
Likes Herbert Walker Bush.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thinks he might be suffering from concussion-related brain damage from playing football and would like his brain preserved for science. Thinks Tim Tebow's a great football player. Like, he's into gun control, but is not a Christian.
Oh.
A lot of things we learned about him in this manifesto, which is pages and pages long, and just, like, covers everything that you could cover ever in any one document, basically. So
pop culture.
No,
Really.
it's everything. And then the headlines that this story has generated have also been just like crazy because everything that they've found out about him has been random.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a big online fan base now and stuff like that. But he sent a weird package to Anderson Cooper last week. Mm-hmm. And he all of the details of his disciplinary hearing have gotten released, and they're bonkers. And he's like, they thought he was in Big Bear for a while because he like burned his car in Big Bear.
I know.
And so they were focusing all their efforts on Big Bear, but then it turned out that he probably wasn't there, and now no one knows where he is, and they're back to shooting everyone.
I know. Well, I think that, I saw a headline today was that the trail has sort of run a little cold.
Yeah.
Because they were focusing everything in Big Bear, but I think now the theory is probably because what happened was the truck that he was driving, they found, like, burned and it had weapons in it or whatever. Like, he didn't drive up there, accidentally have his car set on fire, and then, like, hang out in Big Bear. Like, he went up there to, like...
Leave his car. Knowing that they were shooting at random people with his car.
Like, Big Bear just got, like, 1,000 feet of snow. Yeah. It's up in the mountains. I mean, he's not wandering around Big Bear. Like, that's just not what's happening. So, which is good because I'm going skiing next weekend. Having a big gay President's Day ski weekend festival.
He's on board with gays. You're not a lesbian. It's fine.
Yeah. Hopefully.
You're more of the comedy lesbian variety anyway.
That's true.